The rain poured mercilessly that evening, soaking the city in a somber mood. Anna stood at the entrance of the small cafe she often visited after work, clutching her umbrella tightly. She had just had an exhausting day at her father's company, where every move she made seemed to be scrutinized and criticized by her father's newest business partner. As she waited for the rain to subside, her eyes were drawn to a figure huddled under the bridge across the street. The man looked out of place, a shaggy beard, torn jacket, and a worn-out look that spoke of nights spent under the open sky. People passed him by without a second glance, but something in Anna's heart stirred. Without a second thought, she turned on her heel and stepped off the sidewalk, splashing through the puddles until she was standing just a few feet away from him. "Would you like a cup of coffee?" she asked gently. The man looked up slowly, his eyes sharp but weary. He hesitated for a moment before nodding, as if unsure whether to trust her. She led him into the cafe, where the warmth of the place contrasted sharply with the chill of the night outside. "What's your name?" she asked after a moment. "Jack," he replied quietly, his voice rough as gravel. Over the next few days, Anna found herself thinking about Jack more than she expected. Something about him intrigued her, the way he seemed both guarded and intelligent, as if a story was hidden beneath the surface, just waiting to be uncovered. She began visiting him regularly, bringing coffee and sometimes a sandwich, sitting on the bench beside him and talking for hours. "You don't belong here," she blurted out one evening, catching him off guard. Jack turned to her, his expression unreadable. "And where do you think I belong?" he asked softly. "I don't know," she admitted, studying him intently, "but I don't believe this is your life. Not really." Jack only shrugged, his gaze distant. "We all have our reasons for where we end up." But Anna wasn't satisfied. Who was this man? What had happened to bring him to this point? Anna's friends and family were quick to notice her new routine and were less than supportive. At a dinner gathering, her mother frowned as Anna mentioned Jack's name. "You're spending time with a vagrant," she said, her voice dripping with disapproval. "Anna, people will talk." "Let them," Anna shot back, surprising even herself. "He's not what you think." Her father, Richard, shook his head, his tone firm. "You're jeopardizing your reputation, Anna. If you want to continue working for me, you need to focus, not waste your time on hopeless cases." The words stung, but they only made Anna more determined. Jack wasn't a hopeless case. There was something different about him, and she would prove it to herself and everyone else. One rainy afternoon, when Anna went to meet Jack as usual, she found his spot empty. Panicked, she looked around, fearing the worst. Had something happened to him? But just as she was about to leave, a voice called out from the shadows. "You shouldn't be here," a stranger said, stepping forward. He was a tall man, sharply dressed, with an air of authority that made Anna pause. "If you know what's good for you, you'll stay away from Jack." "Who are you?" Anna demanded, her heart racing. "And what do you know about Jack?" The man's eyes narrowed. "More than you ever will, if you keep meddling." Before Anna could say another word, he turned and disappeared into the night, leaving her shaken. Who was Jack, and why would a man like that be interested in a homeless stranger? The next day, Anna confronted Jack. "Who was that man?" she demanded, her voice trembling with frustration. Jack looked startled but quickly masked his reaction. "No one you need to worry about," he said flatly. "No, I do need to worry." Anna's voice rose, drawing the attention of a few passersby. "Because I care about you, and it seems like there's a lot you're not telling me." Silence stretched between them. For a moment, Jack seemed to wrestle with himself. Then he shook his head slowly. "Anna, you have to let this go. My past is my own." "Not if it's putting you in danger," she whispered fiercely, but Jack only turned away, leaving her standing there with more questions than answers. Anna's defiance came at a cost. A few days later, she was called into her father's office. "I warned you," Richard said coldly. "Your behavior is becoming a problem. If you continue down this path, you're no longer welcome at the company." It was an ultimatum. Choose her job, her family's approval, or Jack. "I won't abandon him," she said quietly, tears burning her eyes. "Then consider yourself on unpaid leave," Richard said dismissively. As Anna walked out of the office, she felt a strange mix of fear and relief. She had taken a stand, but at what price? Determined to find out the truth, Anna hired a private investigator to dig into Jack's past. What she discovered left her reeling. Jack Salinger wasn't just any man. He was the estranged son of a wealthy family, thought to have disappeared years ago after a tragic incident that nearly tore his family apart. But why was he living like this? And what did the mysterious man want from him? Anna returned to Jack, the investigator's report clutched in her hand. "Is this true?" she demanded, holding up the papers. Jack's face paled. "You shouldn't have done that," he murmured. "Why didn't you tell me?" Anna's voice broke. "You're not a hopeless case. You could have had everything." "I had everything," Jack shot back, pain flashing in his eyes, "and then I lost it." As Jack opened up about his past, the betrayals, the pain, and the choice he made to leave it all behind, Anna realized something. He wasn't just a man who'd lost his way. He was a man searching for a purpose, and maybe, just maybe, she could help him find it again. Hi, welcome to HeroKind Stories. Quick question before we dive in. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, drop your suggestions for a future video. Now back to the story. The revelation of Jack's true identity left Anna reeling. Jack Salinger, the man she'd thought of as a mysterious stranger, was no ordinary homeless figure. He was the missing son of a wealthy real estate mogul with ties to one of the most powerful families in the city. As Anna stood outside the cafe where they had first shared coffee, she struggled to comprehend the complexity of the situation. Determined to get answers, Anna found herself dialing a number she never imagined she would. The private investigator's voice crackled through the phone. "You found something, didn't you?" Anna's tone was urgent. "I did, but be careful, Miss Williams," the investigator warned. "The Salinger family is a fortress. People have tried to bring them down before, and they've all failed. Jack's story isn't just about a man falling from grace. There are darker forces at play." Anna's grip tightened on the phone. What had she gotten herself into? She knew one thing for sure. She wouldn't walk away. Not now. Jack's struggle was no longer just his own. It was theirs. With trembling hands, Anna drove up to the gates of the sprawling Salinger estate. The towering iron gates loomed ahead, cold and unwelcoming. She knew that entering this place was a risk, but she had to understand why Jack had abandoned this life of luxury to live on the streets. To her surprise, a security guard waved her in as if expecting her. As she stepped inside, she was greeted by Jack's elder brother, Stephen. Tall, impeccably dressed, with sharp features that mirrored Jack's, Stephen eyed her with a mix of curiosity and disdain. "What are you doing here?" he asked bluntly. "I want to know what happened to Jack," Anna said, standing her ground. "I deserve the truth." Stephen's expression darkened. "Truth? There's no such thing in this family. Jack is where he belongs, on the outside. He made his choices. Now he has to live with them." "But why?" Anna pressed. "What could have been so terrible that he would throw his entire life away?" Stephen's gaze turned icy. "You should be asking what we did to him. But if you really want answers, talk to our father, if you can get past him." The chill in his voice sent shivers down Anna's spine. Whatever had happened, it was more than a simple falling out. It was a deep, festering wound that had torn the family apart. Summoning every ounce of courage, Anna made her way to the grand study at the end of a long hallway. There, seated in a high-backed leather chair, was Gregory Salinger, the patriarch of the family. His hair was silver, his frame tall and commanding, even in age. He didn't look up as she entered, merely gesturing to a chair opposite him. "You're the girl Jack's been spending time with," he stated flatly. It wasn't a question. "Yes, I am," Anna replied, lifting her chin, "and I'm here to ask why he left." Gregory's eyes, cold and calculating, finally met hers. "Why? Because Jack was always the weak one. I gave him everything, education, wealth, power, and he threw it away. He betrayed this family." "What do you mean?" Anna's heart pounded. The old man's gaze never wavered. "Jack had the audacity to try to sell part of our company's land to a charity," he spat, "all because of some foolish promise he made to his dying mother. He wanted to build homes for people who didn't deserve them. I couldn't allow that." "You forced him out?" Anna whispered, horrified. "He forced me to choose, and I chose this family." The realization hit Anna like a punch to the gut. Jack hadn't walked away from luxury. He'd been driven out, exiled for his compassion, for wanting to help those less fortunate. "You ruined his life," she said softly, the weight of the words making the room feel smaller. Gregory's lips curled into a thin smile. "No, my dear, I saved it." That evening, Anna met Jack at their usual spot, but this time, she felt like a stranger standing in front of him. She knew too much. She had seen too much. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked quietly. Jack's face was shadowed by the fading light, but the pain in his eyes was clear. "Because it wouldn't change anything." "Yes, it would," Anna shouted, surprising even herself. "You weren't the problem, Jack. Your family, your father, he was the one who pushed you out." "It doesn't matter." "Anna," Jack said, his voice low and broken. "I can't go back. I don't want to go back." "Then why let them keep controlling you?" she demanded. "You have a right to your own life, Jack. You could make a difference. You still can." Jack shook his head. "You don't understand. There are things about this family, things you're better off not knowing." "Tell me," Anna pleaded. "Please, I need to know." But Jack only turned away, the silence between them filled with unspoken words. The next day, Anna received a call from the private investigator. "Miss Williams, you need to leave this alone," he warned urgently. "There's more going on here than you think. The Salingers have enemies, dangerous ones, and Jack, he's caught in the middle of it all." "What are you talking about?" Anna's voice trembled. "There was a deal, one that went wrong. Jack tried to protect his mother's legacy, but someone else wanted that land. Someone powerful. If you keep pushing, you might be putting him and yourself in danger." Anna's heart pounded. Who else could be involved in this mess? Anna's fears were realized later that evening. As she left her apartment, a sleek black car pulled up beside her. The man who stepped out was the same one she'd seen near Jack weeks ago, the one who had warned her. "You're still snooping around, huh?" His smile was thin, his eyes cold. "Who are you?" Anna demanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "Let's just say I have a stake in what happens to Jack, and if you care about him, you'll stay far away from this family." "Or what?" Anna challenged. The man leaned closer. "Or I'll make sure Jack disappears for good." Shaken but undeterred, Anna ran to find Jack. She found him sitting on the bench where they'd first met, staring blankly at the night sky. "You have to leave," she blurted out. "They're coming for you. Jack, please, we have to get you out of here." But Jack only looked at her, sadness and resolve in his eyes. "I can't run forever, Anna. If they want to finish this, let them come." "No, Jack, please," she begged, grabbing his arm. "If you stay, they'll kill you." "Then I'll die fighting," Jack murmured. "But I'm not running anymore." The next morning, Anna received a devastating message. Jack's father had filed a restraining order against her, effectively banning her from coming near Jack. She was being shut out again. But Anna wasn't about to give up. She knew what she had to do. Anna made one last call to a journalist known for exposing powerful families. If the Salingers thought they could silence her, they were wrong. "Meet me tomorrow," she whispered into the phone, determination blazing in her eyes. "I have a story that will bring the Salingers to their knees." And with that, Anna set the stage for a confrontation that would change everything. The following morning, Anna found herself sitting in a dimly lit diner across from the journalist she'd contacted. His name was Mark Henderson, a sharp-eyed man in his 40s with a reputation for taking down untouchable elites. The overhead lights flickered as he leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "So, you're telling me the Salinger heir has been hiding on the streets?" he asked, his voice barely more than a whisper. "Yes, but that's not all," Anna said, sliding a thick folder across the table. "His father forced him out because he wanted to do something good with his inheritance, and now they're using threats to keep him quiet." Mark's eyes widened as he scanned the contents. "If this is true, it's explosive. But do you realize what you're up against? The Salingers have ties everywhere. Police, media, even the courts." "I don't care," Anna replied, fire in her voice. "Jack deserves his chance to speak, to clear his name, and I'm not backing down." The journalist nodded slowly, respect gleaming in his eyes. "You're brave, I'll give you that, but be ready. Once we go public, there's no turning back." Within days, Mark's article hit the front page of every major news outlet. The headline blared, "Hidden Heir, Jack Salinger's Fall from Grace and the Battle for His Mother's Legacy." The article detailed Jack's exile, his family's ruthless tactics to keep him in the shadows, and the mysterious deal that had gone awry, leading to threats against his life. Anna's role in uncovering the truth was highlighted, painting her as the heroine who dared to stand up to one of the city's most powerful families. Phones rang off the hook. Reporters camped outside the Salinger mansion. Gregory Salinger's empire was suddenly under siege, and the world watched, hungry for every scandalous detail. But amidst the chaos, Anna's phone remained silent. Jack hadn't called. Fear gnawed at her. Had the article only made things worse? 2 days after the article broke, Anna received a message that sent ice through her veins. "Jack's missing," Mark informed her grimly. "He was last seen near the park. After that, nothing." Panic surged through Anna. She knew this was retaliation, a desperate move by the Salinger family to contain the damage. But she couldn't let them take him. She wouldn't. "Where are you going?" Mark called after her as she grabbed her coat and raced for the door. "To find him," she shouted over her shoulder, "before it's too late." Anna's instincts led her to a secluded property owned by the Salinger family on the outskirts of town. The estate was guarded, but Anna noticed something strange. A small side entrance hidden by overgrown bushes. Taking a deep breath, she slipped through and found herself standing before an abandoned guest house. Heart pounding, she pushed open the creaking door. Inside, the air was thick with dust and neglect. But then she heard it, a faint sound like a groan. "Jack," she whispered, fear and hope battling in her chest. There, slumped against the wall, was Jack. His face was bruised, his clothes torn, but he was alive. "Anna," he croaked, disbelief in his voice. "Oh my God, Jack!" She rushed to his side, kneeling beside him. "What did they do to you?" "Stephen, he found me," Jack whispered, wincing as he tried to sit up. "Tried to force me to sign away my rights to the estate. I refused, so they locked me up here." Rage burned through Anna. "They can't keep getting away with this. We're getting out of here. Now!" But as she helped him to his feet, the door burst open, and Stephen Salinger strode in, flanked by 2 burly guards. "Going somewhere?" he sneered.
Hey there, quick message. Grab a paper, write down Hero Kind Stories, our channel name. Come back soon, we've got incredible stories you won't want to miss.
Anna stepped protectively in front of Jack, her eyes blazing. "Let him go, Stephen." "Or what?" Stephen's smirk was cruel. "You think your little article will save him? No one cares. The public will forget in a week. But you've become a nuisance, one I need to get rid of." The guards moved forward, but Anna didn't back down. She held up her phone, her thumb hovering over the screen. "One more step, and I'll send this live to every news station in the city," she warned. Stephen hesitated, his gaze darting to the phone. "You're bluffing, am I?" Anna's smile was tight. "Because I've been recording every word you've said." Jack stared at her in shock, but Anna didn't falter. "Admit it, Stephen. Tell the world how you've been blackmailing Jack. Tell them why you're so desperate to keep him out of the family." Silence stretched, thick with tension. Then, slowly, Stephen's face twisted with fury. "You have no idea what you're playing with," he growled. "This family has secrets, things you can't begin to understand." "Maybe not," Anna shot back. "But I understand one thing. Jack doesn't deserve to live in fear anymore, and I'm not letting you take him." For a moment, it seemed like Stephen would strike. But then he stepped back, his expression icy. "Fine," he spat. "You want him? Take him. But don't think this is over. You've just made an enemy of the Salinger family, Miss Williams, and we always get what we want." With trembling hands, Anna helped Jack limp out of the house. They moved quickly, keeping to the shadows until they reached the edge of the property. Only then did Anna allow herself to breathe. "Are you okay?" she asked softly, cupping his face gently. Jack looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and gratitude. "I don't understand. Why did you come for me?" "Because I believe in you," she whispered fiercely. "Because you're worth fighting for." Jack swallowed hard, emotion thick in his voice. "You shouldn't have put yourself at risk. They won't stop, Anna. Not until they've destroyed everything." "Then we'll fight back," Anna said firmly. "Together." Back in the city, Anna arranged a live interview for Jack with one of the country's top journalists. It was a gamble, a high-stakes move that could either clear Jack's name or destroy him completely. But it was their last chance. As the cameras rolled, Jack took a deep breath and looked straight into the lens. My name is Jack Salinger, and I've been living on the streets for years, not because I'm a failure, but because I refuse to be a part of my family's corruption." Gasps echoed around the studio. Jack continued, his voice gaining strength. "I tried to use my inheritance to help people, but my father and brother wanted to bury me instead. I'm here to tell the world the truth and to take back what's mine." The interview sent shockwaves through the media. The Salinger family was suddenly under investigation, their secrets unraveling one by one. Public sympathy shifted to Jack, and Anna found herself hailed as a hero for standing by his side. But for Jack, the real victory was simpler. "I'm free," he murmured one evening, sitting beside Anna on the bench where they'd first met. "For the first time in years, I'm free." With the Salingers' power crumbling, Jack used the funds he'd reclaimed to fulfill his mother's dream, building affordable housing for families in need. And through it all, Anna was by his side, helping him rebuild, piece by piece. "Thank you," he whispered one night, gazing at her with unspoken emotion. "For what?" she asked softly. "For saving me." Anna smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. "We saved each other, Jack." Months passed after Jack's interview went public. Though the Salinger empire had been shaken, it was far from defeated. Jack and Anna moved into a modest apartment above a bustling cafe, their lives intertwined more deeply than ever before. Jack threw himself into charity work, using the resources he'd won back to help others. But a shadow hung over their newfound peace. Stephen's parting words echoed in Anna's mind. "You've made an enemy of the Salinger family, Miss Williams, and we always get what we want." One crisp autumn morning, Anna's phone buzzed with an unknown number. "Is this Anna Williams?" a cold voice asked. "Yes, who is this?" "This is Detective Monroe. We need you to come to the precinct immediately. There's been an incident involving Jack Salinger." Anna's heart stilled. "What happened? Is he okay?" The detective sighed. "Just come in, Miss Williams." Panic surged through Anna as she raced out of the apartment. What had they done to him now? When Anna arrived at the precinct, she was ushered into a small, sterile room where Jack sat, hands cuffed to the table. His face was pale, his eyes hollow. Detective Monroe stood nearby, a file in his hand. "What's going on?" Anna demanded, panic clawing at her chest. "Mr. Salinger has been arrested on charges of fraud and embezzlement," Monroe said flatly. "That's ridiculous," Anna cried. "Jack would never," but Jack's voice cut her off. "It's true," he whispered. The world seemed to tilt around her. "What? They have evidence. Documents in my name, bank statements. I don't know how, but they're real." "No," Anna said, shaking her head furiously. "This is a setup. They're trying to destroy you." Monroe sighed, his gaze sympathetic. "The Salinger family is pushing hard for a full investigation. They want to revoke his rights to the estate again. If these charges stick, Jack could go to prison for a very long time." Anna's blood ran cold. This was Stephen's revenge, a calculated move to ruin Jack forever. But she wouldn't let it happen, not after everything they'd fought for. As Jack was taken away, Anna's mind raced. There had to be a way out, some flaw in Stephen's plan. But the evidence was overwhelming, and with Stephen's connections, Jack was trapped. Then an idea struck her, one so reckless it made her stomach twist. But it was their only chance. That night, Anna slipped into the Salinger mansion, using the same hidden entrance she'd discovered months before. The estate was dark, the security minimal. Clearly, Stephen thought he had already won. Anna made her way to Gregory Salinger's study, where rows of neatly organized files lined the shelves. Heart-pounding, she began rifling through them, searching desperately for something, anything that could clear Jack's name. And then she found it, a single document, buried deep in the back of a drawer. It was a contract, dated years ago, transferring the ownership of the disputed land to Jack's mother's charity. The signature on the contract? Stephen's. "You didn't just keep Jack out of the family business," Anna breathed, realization dawning. "You betrayed your own brother to steal from the charity." Her heart hammered as she snapped photos of the document, careful to leave everything else in place. With trembling hands, she slipped back out of the mansion and into the night. The courtroom was packed the next morning. Reporters crowded the entrance, eager to witness the downfall of Jack Salinger. But Anna stood tall beside him, her expression fierce. When Stephen took the stand, he wore a look of smug confidence. The evidence speaks for itself, he declared, gesturing to the stack of papers detailing Jack's supposed crimes. My brother has always been reckless. This is simply the consequence of his poor choices. But when Anna stepped forward, holding up the document she'd found, a ripple of shock swept through the room. "Mr. Salinger," she said, her voice steady, "is this your signature?" Stephen's face paled. That's not. "It is your signature," Anna pressed, "and this contract proves that you transferred the land to the charity yourself. You set Jack up to take the fall, just to keep control of the family's fortune." Gasps filled the courtroom. Stephen's lawyer leapt to his feet, shouting objections, but it was too late. The judge ordered a recess, and the prosecution demanded an immediate investigation into Stephen's dealings. As chaos erupted around them, Jack turned to Anna, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You did it," he whispered. Anna's lips curved into a fierce smile. "No, Jack, we did." Within days, the tables turned. Stephen was arrested for fraud and perjury, his reputation in tatters. The charges against Jack were dropped, and the family's empire crumbled under the weight of the scandal. But for Jack, the victory was bittersweet. "They'll never stop," he murmured one evening, staring out the window of their small apartment. "My father, the rest of them, as long as I'm here, they'll keep trying to tear us down." "Then let's leave," Anna said softly. Jack turned to her, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Leave?" "Yes," Anna said, determination hardening her voice. "We've fought long enough, Jack. It's time to start over, somewhere they can't touch us, somewhere we can build the life we want." A month later, Anna and Jack stood at the edge of a quiet town, far from the city and its dark memories. The air was crisp, the sky wide and open. For the first time in years, Jack felt free. "What now?" he asked, glancing at Anna. She smiled, taking his hand. "Now, we do what we always wanted. We build, not just houses, Jack, homes, for people who need them." Jack looked at her, love and gratitude filling his gaze. "And us?" "We build our home too," she whispered. Over the next few years, Jack and Anna poured their hearts into their work. Together, they transformed abandoned lots into thriving communities, offering hope and shelter to families in need. And as the new houses rose, so did their own happiness. Jack never forgot what it meant to lose everything, and Anna never forgot the moment she decided to stand by his side, no matter the cost. Because, in the end, they hadn't just found a home for others, they'd found one in each other. One rainy night, a letter arrived, Stephen's handwriting unmistakable. "You may have won this round, brother, but don't think it's over. I will always be watching." Anna read the letter and then tore it in two. "Let him watch," she said, tossing the pieces into the fire. "We're not afraid anymore." As the flames consumed the paper, Jack wrapped his arms around Anna, holding her close. "Do you think we'll ever really be free?" he murmured. "We already are," she whispered, smiling up at him. "Because we're together, and that's something they can never take away." Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and share it with others. Click on the next video to continue exploring more inspiring stories of love, resilience, and overcoming adversity.